I'd like to welcome you to the House of Thrillers. I'm Scully, the author that reads to you. I read my novels and other works in the public domain and submissions from people like you. So buckle up. It's quite the ride, and we'll see you on the other side. Or me tangle. I think we're in the interior of the game car in the day. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they hear a
You're right there.
siren in the far distance. Kick it in the pants, CW. We gotta make that state line. Can't get more than this out of the Plymouth. We cut to the interior of the bank. The gang has left a legacy of celebrity behind. We see the bank guard whose hat was shot off being interviewed by a reporter. He is seated in a chair, his shirt open at the collar, and a woman teller is fanning him. Then he saw me going for my gun, Clyde Barrow himself. I mean, and suddenly I was staring into the face of death.
Tisk tisk.
The photographer steps in.
Just look this way, Mr. Hawkins.
The bank guard hurriedly buttons up his collar and smiles as the flashbulb goes off. We cut to the exterior of the game car.
Still speeding along, the siren more distant. Cut to interior bank.
Lost my place. The bank president and a policeman are posing for that classic picture where both stand flanking a bullet hole in the wall and point proudly at it. The flashbulb goes off. We cut to the interior of the police car. Two men in police uniforms following Bonnie and Clyde. Step on it, Randolph. We gotta catch them before they reach the state line. We cut to the interior of the bank. Ska, 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 ska.
Farmer is describing Bonnie and Clyde to passersby who dote on him as though he just had contact with a portion of the true cross. Farmer is aware of his position.
Clyde? He looked real clean, Bonnie. She too much lady ever be caught with a cigar in her mouth. I don't care what you heard before. I saw him right here not 20 minutes ago. Now, all I can say is they did right by me. And I'm bringing me a mess of flowers to their funeral. We cut to the interior of the gang car. Car slows up perceptibly as Clyde says, "Okay, relax. We're in Oklahoma now. Slow down." We cut to the interior of the police car. Turn around. Don't waste no more gas.
Ain't we going to catch him?
Hell, they over the state line. That's out of our jurisdiction.
Why don't we get him anyway?
I ain't gonna risk my life in Oklahoma. That's their problem.
Exterior car. Now the gang's car is seen traveling down a long, narrow country road surrounded by cornfields. They get out, taking the various bags of money with them, and dump the lot on the hood. There is not an impressive amount. There is not an impressive amount of money.
Hell, that ain't much, is it? Time's hard. Well, let's get it. Let's get to it.
He begins dealing and splitting the money out on the hood of the car as they gather around.
This is Clyde Barrow, Buck Barrow, Bonnie Parker, CW. Clyde, Buck, Bonnie, CW, Clyde, Clyde again, Buck, Bonnie, CW.
Buck and Blanche stand watching. Blanche looks fretful. She nudges Buck and whispers to him. Buck whispers something back to her. Meanwhile, Clyde's counting still goes on.
Bonnie, CS, Clyde. Clyde. Huh?
Buck is clearly embarrassed.
Clyde, what about Blanche?
Everyone reacts with stunned amazement at Blanche's nerve in wanting to get her cut. What? Blanche sees she has to rise to her own defense, and she rises to the occasion with spirit and verve. Well, why not? Say I earned my share, same as everybody else. I could have got killed, same as everybody. And I'm wanted by the law, same as everybody. Besides, I could have got snake bit sleeping in them woods every night. I'm just a nervous wreck, and that's the truth. And I have to listen to sass from Miss Bonnie Park all the time. I deserve mine.
Close on Buck, Day looking at Clyde, his face full of weak smiles and embarrassment at his wife. Okay, okay, hold your horses. Blanche, you get your share. Bonnie is livid but says nothing. Clyde, the leader, has decided. CW looks indignant, like a hog who's just been given a bath. Clyde begins counting all over again in mere silence. Married a preacher's daughter and she still thinks she's taking the collection? Everyone now laughs but Blanche. Clyde continues counting. Well, don't spend it all in one place now, here.
She'll be doing right well to spend it at all.
Bonnie turns and ambles away from the car. After a moment, Clyde stops counting and moves after her. He's prepared for a fight, stands behind Bonnie's arched back, trying to gauge the degree of hostility. Bonnie! No answer. Look, Bonnie, I've said it and I guess I'll keep saying it before we're through. Blanche is Buck's wife and Buck is family. He waits expectantly.
She's such a silly Billy.
Bonnie looks plaintively to Clyde.
Little family could use some of that money.
Them laws have been hanging around your mama's house till all hours, Bonnie. It's just too risky to go there.
Well, where can we go? We rob the damn banks. What else do we do?
Clyde cannot really answer. Suddenly, CW starts yelling, Clyde! 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 Clyde Finn flinches at the sound. CW comes bounding over as rude as an assault on their sensibilities as he can be. I hear you, CW. This old heap's gushing old. We got to swipe bust another set of wheels right away. We won't get anywhere. Look here. He reaches down under the pan of the car and scoops a gooey handful of slick black oil. See? Clyde nods slowly, looks back to Bonnie. He sees he dissolves to the exterior of the suburban street.
A residential neighborhood on a suburban street, a rather well to do neighborhood. The camera is up on a porch of a white frame house looking toward the street. On the porch, sitting in the swing in the left foreground, are a man and a woman. She is about 29, he is about 36. He is sitting with his back to us, embracing the woman. They are spooning, making low, loving murmurs. Oh, now, dear.
Sweet thing.
We see in the distance two cars parked in the front of the house, his and hers. Suddenly
Oh
we
my
see
God.
another. Stop
Stop.
it.
Steve-O, ska. Ska, 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 ska.
Then the then the whole gang gets out, ditches the one car, and gets into the parked cars. All the while, the couple on the porch is busy spooning. The car begins to roll slowly into the street. The woman notices. Say, isn't that your car, Eugene?
Mm-hmm. That's my car. Hey.
The man and the woman run down the front steps and front walk to the second car. They jump in and take off, giving chase.
The interior of the car. The woman is driving. It's her car. The man is furious. I'll tear him apart. Those punks. Steal the man's car right out from under him. Wait till I get my hands on those kids. Velma, I'm going to show them. They continue driving, furious, the man cursing and muttering. We see through their windshield the other car way in the distance.
What if they have guns, Eugene?
Well, we better get the police and let them handle this.
Right.
Turn around, let's get back to town. We'll go get the sheriff. They are now on a narrow dirt road, and a woman has to execute a U-turn. It takes her about 7 cuts to turn the car around in the narrow space. They start back to town. We cut to the interior of Bonnie and Clyde's car. Buck's looking out the rear window. They stopped chasing us. Turn around. They turned around. Close up on Clyde grinning mischievously. Let's take them. Buck and CW laugh appreciatively at the reversal. Clyde turns the car around. He performs the U-turn in the same narrow space in one swift, smooth, beautiful turn. We cut to the interior of the other car as Velma's looking in the rearview mirror and sees now she is being chased.
Oh, my Lord. They're coming after us.
Step on it, Velma. Step on it. Close up of the accelerator, Velma jamming it down to the floor. Fade to the exterior of the road, the chase.
Bonnie and Clyde's car gaining on them, and finally overtaking them, coming up and ahead, forcing them to the side of the road. The man and woman's car, terrified, they roll up their windows, lock their doors, and huddle together. The Barrow gang piles out of their car and walks over, having a merry time. They surround the car and press their faces against the window, flattening their features, making menacing gestures at the shaking pair inside. We see this from the point of view of the man and woman inside the car. Clyde pulls out a gun, makes as if to shoot, but he is kidding. They all laugh uproariously, especially Buck, who is delighted with Clyde's prank. All of this we see in pantomime from inside the trap car.
Exterior of the car. Come on, get out. Get out of there, I said. They come on out, hands held high, shaking with fear. They have practically turned to jelly. Get in here. They get in and the gang gets in and 7 people are now jammed inside. Clyde drives, Bonnie next to him, CW next to her. In back, Blanche and then Eugene and Velma sitting on his lap. And then Buck. As will be seen, the reason the Barrows have kidnapped the couple is simply that they wanted company. Living as they did, seeing only each other day after day, they long for diversion and new faces. So the atmosphere in the car will shortly change to one of friendliness and jollity. And it will get progressively more so in the series of cuts which advance the time. As the car starts up at the beginning, however, the man and woman are terrified. What's your name? I'm Eugene Grizzard.
I'm Velma Davis.
Well, howdy. We're the Barrow gang. There's Clyde driving, and I'm Buck. The man and woman almost faint. They begin to realize they're not going to get hurt and that the Barrows are friendly to them.
Look, don't be scared, folks. It ain't like you was the law. You're just folks like us.
Yeah, that's the truth. I expect you'd be reading about us. The man and the woman answer simultaneously with what They think it's the right thing to say under the circumstances. Yes,
No.
they glare at each other. Yes, Velma, we have to.
Well, you two must be in love, I bet.
Eugene and Velma blush. Get shy for a second. Bonnie smiles. Well. What you got gonna marry the girl, boy? We cut down to the interior of the later at the day, still driving, same positions, but some time has elapsed. The atmosphere is now completely convivial, and the captives are enjoying their new friends. As the scene starts, Buck is finishing his joke.
So then she drinks her milk down again, every drop, and she looks over at her son and says, Son, whatever you do, don't sell that cow.
The couple laughs with great amusement, but everyone else, Carr doesn't laugh. This is the 10th time they heard the joke. We cut to the interior of the car, getting on toward evening. All are thoroughly relaxed and chatting.
How old are you, honey? 33?
A look of sudden surprise registers on Eugene's face as we fade to the interior of the car at night. Everyone's eating. They've stopped somewhere along the way. Inside, there is a small world of happiness and fun. Buck is unpacking the food and passing sandwiches and drinks around the car.
Now, I ordered some french fries, didn't I?
Yeah, here you go. Take it easy on those french fries, Velma. Ain't that right, Eugene? This isn't mine. I ordered mine well done. Who's got the other hamburger? Close up on CW. He's already taken a bite of the other one. Oh, this supposed to be yours? He extends the bitten burger out to Eugene. That's okay, forget it. Huh, I sure am having a good time. How about you folks? Ain't you glad we picked you up? Hey, maybe y'all ought to join us with us. That idea strikes everyone as being very amusing. Wouldn't they be surprised back home to hear that, Velma?
Yeah, they would. Martha and Bill say if they heard that. What would they say?
Lordy, they throw a fit.
What do you do anyway?
I'm an undertaker.
Suddenly everyone freezes, a shudder, as if the cold hand of death had suddenly touched the occupants of the car. The atmosphere changes to cold, deadly, fearful silence in exactly 1 second. It's a premonition of death for the Barrows, and they react accordingly. Bonnie, especially. Get them out of here. The car brakes to a sudden stop. The rear down is open. The rear door is opened. The man and woman flung out into the darkness. The car drives off into the lonely night. From this point on, the audience should realize that the death is inevitable for the Barrow gang, that it follows them always, that it waits anywhere. It is no longer a question of whether death will come, but when it will come. Exterior woods in the morning. Moving with Clyde, he tears through the brush, snagging his clothes, calling Bonnie's name. Clyde's search is so desperate here that for a moment we might think he is fleeing from something other rather than looking for something. In a moment he emerges onto the road. The car, with CW driving and Buck with Blanche beside him, is patrolling slowly up ahead of him. Clyde spots it and runs toward it. Hold on, this angle until he catches up with it. and leaps into the running board. Moving shot. Car, morning, Clyde. Now on the running board, his head poked into the car, his face apple red and sweating.
You see anything, Buck?
Buck is shocked at his brother's desperation, but makes no overt comment on it.
Not yet, boy. CW. So, hang on. And nobody
Clyde
saw her
gets
leave or anything, heard anything, CW?
Clyde to the point. Gets the point. For the first time, we see Clyde, the leader, helpless as he hangs on to the running board.
Well, where do you think she could have gone? Buck. Jesus, I don't know.
Clyde looks helplessly at his brother, then drops off the running board and continues on foot, running along, scanning the fields, the car, keeping up beside him as he runs, and the truck before both car and Clyde. Angle on car through the windshield reaction shot. Day. Buck turning to Blanche, shrugging his shoulders, speechless.
Reverse angle through the windshield at Clyde, who suddenly seen something, begins gesticulating wildly. From Carr's point of view, a little comically. There. He starts running off into a cornfield. Another angle picking up Clyde as he kicks his way into the cornfield, knees pumping high, knocking down the stalks. He stops and picks up the stocking he just spotted, takes it and moves on. Picks up still another angle as Clyde has picked up a freshly beaten trail through the cornfield. He picks up one of Bonnie's scarves now. As he runs on, he clears a knoll, and Bonnie, her yellow hair unmistakable even at this distance, comes into view. She's far off in the cornfield, stalking off, looking neither right nor left, carrying a brown paper sack that is split, from which she has occasionally lost clothing. Clyde screams, "Bonnie!" She apparently doesn't hear. Angle on the cornfield. Clyde gets closer. Bonnie herself suddenly breaks into flight, the paper bag splitting completely, remaining clothes spilling out. There's a real chase where they each try to get the advantage. Clyde is so exhausted from his run that he has real trouble cornering her as they maneuver up and down the rows of corn. Finally, Clyde catches up. Extreme close-up Bonnie and Clyde in the day. And they tumble into the stalks of corn, mowing them down.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Hey, baby, Bonnie, hey. Oh, now. Where'd you think you were going? And Bonnie doesn't answer.
Up angle. Point of view, Clyde. As he's momentarily distracted by Buck's laughter, as he's in the cornfield picking up Bonnie's clothing. Clyde waves an impatient, "It's all right" wave. He turns back to Bonnie, who he still holds tightly.
Bonnie, where?
I don't know. You're hurting me. I was just scared is all. And my mama's been on my mind, and she's getting so old.
I mean, though, but hang on a second. My battery's getting low. I forgot to plug in my phone. Damn. Let's see if that's going to hold it. Boy, don't ever leave without saying something. You really scared me, Bonnie. Bonnie, are you
I
there?
was muted. I was muted. Stop.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
Bonnie. But I mean it though. I want to see my
Bonnie
mama. Please, Clyde.
Tingles. Bonnie Tingles.
Stop.
Stony
I'm trying to
Baker and
read.
D Tingles. Zombie Queen.
Okay,
Bonnie Tingles.
get it out of
Okay.
out of your
I'm
system. You
picking. Go
done?
ahead.
Okay. Thank you, sir. But I mean it though. I want to see my mama. Please, Clyde.
Two shot. Bonnie and Clyde. All right, sweetheart. We dissolve to the
Exterior
exterior. Go ahead.
side of the road. Very long shot. Dave. Of 3 or 4 cars parked on the side of the road in Texas. A light rain is falling. There are a lot of people gathered around, but the sound is an indistinct mixture of talk, laughter, etc. There follows a quick montage of cuts which isolate specific moments in the family reunion, thereby implying the entire tone of the proceedings. The sense of family pervades. Montage: Bonnie's mother, an old woman who grabs her and hugs her and cries. Montage: Bonnie, Clyde, a man and uncle perhaps stands with Bonnie and Clyde, arms around them both, hugging them to his side tightly. Bonnie and sister. Bonnie's sister hands them a scrapbook of clippings. Here you are. You've been cutting and pasting everything we could find about you in the papers. Well, we've been cutting and pasting. Clyde, Bonnie, Buck, and Blanche all look at the scrapbook. We see a page of it showing newspaper articles with the photographs of the gang took back at the motel.
Hey, look. Here's that one I took for you, Clyde. Came out just fine.
Montage: Bonnie, and Clyde are posing for a comic snapshot. A silly looking male relative is posing, pointing a gun at them. They have their hands in the air and are grinning broadly. Buck is sitting with a little 4-year-old on his knee, bouncing him up and down and singing. Both are having a fine time.
Oh, horsey, keep your tail up. Keep your tail up. Keep your tail up. Oh, horsey, keep your tail up. Why don't you make it rise?
Montage CW, and camera.
Like that.
I'm sorry. I hand off camera thrust a
Lover tingles. Lover.
sandwich at CW. He opens the bread to see what's inside. Then he eats it. Bonnie and sister. Bonnie sits stock still while her sister gives her a permanent in the back seat of the car. He his The sister pauses, setting down the curling iron. She strokes Bonnie's yellow hair with her hand as though she were a wild animal that had paused long enough to be petted. Bonnie turns to see her sister's expression. They embrace. Montage: the family picnic. Favoring Clyde, mother and Clyde, in his best theatrical manner, has been playing host in the sand pile, perhaps using some sort of towel across the arm or around the middle. The party is beginning to break up now as newspaper plates and crumpled napkins are blowing across the sand, and the group is finishing up Eskimo pie.
Where y'all headed from here? I don't know what y'all got in mind. At this point, we ain't headed anywhere. We just running from it.
Clyde, Clyde laughs in fine spirits. Bonnie doesn't. Come on down, little Tom. We're going down. We're going down home, little Tom. Matthew, fetch little Tom. Don't go yet, Mama.
Come here, you little corn roller.
Wide angle as Uncle sweeps up the laughing little Tom. Bonnie turns with increased urgency to her mother, who, having been hefted to her feet by Bonnie's sister, has turned to Clyde, who gives her a big boyish hug. You know, Clyde, I read about y'all in the papers, and I'm just scared. Sugar, make Mama stay a while yet.
Now, Miss Parker, Don't y'all believe what you read in the papers? That's the law talking there. They want us to look big, so they'll look big when they catch us.
He knows he stumbled onto the wrong thing, but he bounces right along with it's his style.
And they can't do that. Why, I'm even better at running than robbing banks. Oh, shoot. If we done half the stuff they said we did, we'd be millionaires, wouldn't we, old sugar? And I wouldn't risk Bonnie here just to make money a certain time. Are. Wow, one time I knowed of a job where we could make 2,000 easy. But I saw the lady outside and I said to myself, well, Bonnie could get hurt here. So I just drove right on and let that money lay.
He waits for a response, as does Bonnie. Bonnie's mother smiles a little abstractly. Maybe you know the way with her? Then I'm just an old woman and I don't know nothing. She trails off, looking nowhere in particular. Clyde takes her reaction to mean that he's overwhelming her with his confidence and continues to pour it on.
We'll be quitting this just soon as Tar Times is over. Mother Parker, I can tell you that. Well, me and Bonnie, we're just talking the other day, and we talked about when we settle down and get us a home. And Bonnie said, I couldn't live more than 3 miles from my precious mother. Now, how'd you like that, Mother Parker?
Bonnie's mother has undergone a funny sort of transformation during Clyde's speech, as if something had suddenly come into focus before the woman's eyes. Don't believe I would. I surely don't. You try to live 3 miles from me, and you won't live very long, honey. You'd best keep running, and you know it, Clyde Barrow. Bye, baby. She hugs Bonnie, who can barely respond. We move in for a close up of Bonnie as her various relatives, young and old, come by to squeeze, kiss, and hug her with a chirpy chorus of bye, Bonnie, bye, bye, Bonnie, bye, bye.
We dissolved to the exterior of Plot City Motel, Plot City, Iowa, in the day. Hold on the outside long enough to see the unusual structures, two little motel cabins connected by two identical garages, an entirely symmetrical structure. They're inside the bedroom. Bonnie ends the day and she tries, against heavy odds, to fall and trim her nails in a corner of the room. The odds are Clyde on the uke, background Buck and Blanche gathered around CW, who sits in the only stuffed chair in the room. Their off-screen raucousness is clearly shattering to Bonnie, who at a key moment in the scene ends up spearing her cuticle with a file, spurting a little board in a water temper. Other angle, Clyde, Buck, Blanche, CW. They, a naked light bulb glaring down on CW's chest, where a pair of bluebirds have been tattooed with a rocket flourish. Buck and Blanche are vastly amused, rather. Blanche takes delight in Buck's delight. How long you had it? I just got it. Touch it, honey, go on. Blanche squeals with amusement. Buck takes Blanche's hand and places it on the bluebirds.
Oh, no, Daddy, don't.
Fowl digs in her cuticle on Blanche's squeal with barely controlled rage.
What are you all doing?
Interior of the motel bedroom, group shop. Bonnie in the day. Playing with my tattoo, Bonnie.
Well, why don't you all go play with it somewhere else?
New angle motel bedroom in the day.
What's bothering her?
Not now, Blanche. What's bothering her, Clyde?
I said go somewhere else.
She picks up first three objects she can find on the dresser and hurls them: ashtray, a Gideon Bible, and a flower pot. Pot goes shattering into the wall and everyone ducks. Bonnie's hungry, CW. I saw a chicken place a few miles back. Who all wants to go get some food? Interior of the motel bedroom. Group shot day.
I sure do. I'm plenty tired of sitting around here anyway.
You can't drive, honey love. I'll go. Clyde makes a face to Bonnie, pretending there's something going on between CW and Blanche. Bonnie tries to keep from being amused. CW moves out with Blanche. Buck rises to go next door. What's everybody want? Just 5 chicken dinners and get something for dessert. See if they got that peach ice cream. All finally exit, leaving Bonnie and Clyde alone.
Exterior car and street, dusk. CW and Blanche go out. We go with them. They get in the car and drive off. Buck enters the cabin. Interior motel bedroom, Bonnie and Clyde, dusk. Clyde reaches her, and for a moment both stare with fanatic intensity at each other. Bonnie trying desperately to keep a straight face. They are nose to nose, unblinking. Clyde gives her a big raspberry, waggling his fingers in his ear like a kid. She laughs. I hate you all.
Hey, y'all too.
No, I really hate you. She turns away from him, wilts onto the bed. Oh, baby, I've got the blues so bad. Clyde moves behind her, begins to massage her back. There is something very delicate about the way he touches her. It suggests Clyde's sensitivity to her mood rather than any degree of physical intimacy.
Bonnie, is it your mama? What your mama said?
What, mama? She's just an old woman now. I have no mama. Bonnie rolls over on her back. She stares up at Clyde, tears splaying across her face from the move. So funny. I thought when we first went out, we were really going somewhere, but this is it. We're just going, huh? She has addressed this last directly to Clyde, but there is nothing rhetorical about it. It's a real question. Clyde doesn't answer for a moment. Then
Do you care about where we're going?
Bonnie clearly finds this hard to say. Not as long as you care about me.
Well, I love you, sugar.
It's the first time he said it to her, and Bonnie is overwhelmed. She wraps her arms around Clyde's middle and snuggles him like a child. Neither we nor Clyde can see Bonnie's face now, and her voice is muffled by his chest. Enough to die with me, baby? 'Cause I think that's where we're going. I surely do. Clyde is both touched and amused by the plea. He strokes her head lightly, really meaning it.
Wherever. We dissolve to the interior of the car. Blanche, her tense and agitated self growing increasingly more so lately, lights a fresh cigarette off the butt of the one she's been smoking. Sure smoking all the time lately.
So what?
Nothing. Blanche, sick of it all, drops her head in her hand with a sigh.
Oh, God.
CW looks at her, finally decides to say something that occurs to him. Why don't you go back home with your papa?
Oh, if I could, if I could just do that one thing. Oh, there's nothing telling why this all happened. I was a preacher's daughter.
When church is your pa affiliated with?
Baptist? Oh, and he thought the world of Buck. My daddy did, even knowing that Buck was serving time in jail. He forgave him for that because he paid his debt to society.
We were disciples of Christ. The interior of a fried chicken cafe. The lunch counter sweeps down the center of the screen. Deputies drinking coffee. In the background at the other end of the counter, by the exit door, Blanche and CW are being handed their order by the counter man.
Hey, CW, I ain't got my money. Give me some, will you?
The deputy turns his head and looks over. CW opens his jacket to reach in his pocket for money. As he opens his coat, his gun is clearly seen tucked in his pants. Close shot deputy, his face tense. Sound of the door closing as CW and Blanche leave. Get Sheriff Smoot on the phone. We dissolve to the interior of the Platte City motel room at night. On CW's moonlit chest and face, tattooed bluebirds heaving and occasionally snoring in the night. Behind him, the room is dimly lit by flickering candles that are placed out of sight. Shapes in the room, the bed is gutted, and only the box mattress remains, dresser, lamp, shades, etc. Grotesque in the flickering light. Off-screen sounds of Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie giggling and Clyde whispering something we can't quite hear. Appears that something perversely sexual may be going on between Bonnie and Clyde.
Ready?
Oh, Bonnie.
Come on.
Clyde's arm wielding a Tommy gun clears the bed. With muzzle, Clyde knocks the swivel mirror on the dresser overhead, bringing Bonnie and Clyde into view. Ska, 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 ska.
Closer angle mirror, Bonnie and Clyde, night. Bonnie lies stiff as a statue in the on the white mattress, impeccably dressed for her funeral. Candelabras made of empty beer bottles lie at her head and feet. Bonnie's hands and face are powdered with white, painted a waxen white. She wears a garish silk bow in her hair, which for this occasion, curled like a little girl's. Clyde sits up, beer bottle in one hand, Tommy gun in the other, derby hat cocked, and just a little unsure of the whole thing. He takes a swig. Bonnie stops him, trying terribly hard not to change her position. Lie down now, honey.
Oh, I've done enough.
Angle on mirror of Bonnie and Clyde, night. You have to lie down. It's the only way we can tell what we'll look like together. She giggles again, more than a little gassed herself. Clyde clamps a big cigar between his teeth and abruptly lies down beside her. Clyde is both amused and annoyed. Imagine, imagine that. Oh my God.
What do you think?
Oh God, that's not the right tie.
What?
Can't wear polka dots on an occasion
Well,
like
what
this.
then, Bonnie?
Stripes. Don't don't go away now. She
She
waves
weaves
her
her
hand
way
over to
over to the dresser. Oh my God. Let's see.
It's your go for it.
Takes a bottle from the swig from the bottle. Holding against her chest. Try it out. She almost falls into him. Clyde steadies her.
Perfect.
She tries to tie it for him. Clearly has trouble with the knot. Okay. We're going to do this. At least I can tie it myself. Lie down before you fall down. She does. With some play acting. Exaggerated obeisance to Clyde's command. Reaching up at the last moment like a zombie. Snatching an artificial flower from Blanche's hair. Hat. Still lies on the dresser. Clyde lies down now. They look into the mirror again. Is that better, baby?
Much.
This tickles Clyde, despite himself, and he laughs. Bonnie begins to sing to him, forming for both Clyde and her own image in the mirror, like some Whedonish vaudevillain.
Pandora's comment.
Hmm?
Pandora's comment up pinned up her.
It
Is it my
is
turn?
funny, isn't it? I guess so. How much more we got to go?
Hell if I know.
I wonder if we're going to end up doing part 3 or not.
I don't know. It's up to you. Hour and a half. And we're on. Where are we? Damn it.
We're at like 91 right now.
Okay. And it's 126. So yeah. Part 3. Part 3.
That might be
or whatever
pushing
you
it.
want to do.
Finish tonight. Well, it seems like we've gotten through about the same amount we almost got through last time.
Yeah, we went to 50 last time.
And it kind of leaves the least amount to finish with. So it gives us another show too.
Okay.
Yeah, just chill for a minute and say hey to everybody, I guess. Did y'all like that?
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Sunshine Pop. Oh, sunshine.
I think I'm gonna go back into the intro in case we repurpose this stream later. So get your script ready. I'd like to welcome you. I'd like to welcome you to the House of Thrillers. I'm Scully, the author that reads to you. Tonight, we're going to be reading the conclusion of Bonnie and Clyde. So buckle your seatbelts. It's quite the ride. And we'll see you on the other side. Narrated by Scully and Izzy Pop. We're at the exterior ring of firs at night. It's a wide field in the country. This is Dexter, Iowa. It's quiet. We see in a long shot that takes in everything that this is a meadow surrounded by a ring of trees. A dense forest that circles them. The meadow, however, is large. The two cars drive into the middle of the field, headlights on. They stop and the Barrow gang gets out. They are in horrible shape. We can finally have a look at them. Half dressed in their pajamas, bloody, dirty, and tatters. Those that can stagger out do so. Others are carried. A far shot of all this. Moving closer to them, we see Clyde and CW lay Buck down on the ground. Clyde begins to administer to his wounds as best as he can, mostly just wiping him off. Buck is semi-conscious. All are in a semi-daze. Blanche falls to her knees, still clutching her eyes. She is totally hysterical.
Oh, God, please help us. Dear Father in heaven, get us out of this, and Buck will never do another bad thing in his life.
Bonnie walks over to the group, looking at Buck. CW goes over to her. It's a two-shot of Bonnie and CW. He ain't got a chance. Half his head blown off. Camera pulls back to take in Blanche.
My eyes. God, I think I'm blind. Light turns so bad.
Bonnie walks over to the car and comes back with the sunglasses Buck had given Blanche. Moving her out of the glare, she helps Blanche put them on. Bonnie now has an arm around Blanche, and Blanche shivers into Bonnie gracefully. Bonnie is a little repelled by Blanche, but comforts her out of genuine feeling for her.
Please, please get us to a doctor. Tell Clyde to get us to a doctor. Die here. Here, hon.
Bonnie looks silently up to Clyde. Clyde is looking dumbly down at his mangled brother.
Clyde, Clyde, please get us to a doctor.
Though Blanche cannot see it, Clyde has knelt down to the side of Buck, taking Buck's hand, and with his other hand has begun smoothing Buck's hair back away from the wound.
He's your brother. Clyde will not and cannot hear Blanche. Oh, God. Buck can't be moved now, hon.
Blanche's answer to this hysterical sobbing, burying herself into Bonnie, mumbling half-coherent, muffled prayers between the sobs. Claude. Right here, boy. I believe I lost my shoes. Maybe the dog hit them.
Clyde has begun to cry a little. Continues to smooth back Buck's hair with ritualistic regularity. Wide angle, night, camera pulls away, way back to the wide shot of the entire field, showing the group in the center of the darkness, lit by the headlight. Match dissolve into early dawn. Camera still on the wide shot. The field is lighter, though the trees still loom blackly around it. Two cars, one almost a shattered wreck, the other bright and shiny and new, are parked in the center. The sky is light, but the trees cast a dark shadow on the field. The gang is just sitting around. Blanche weeping next to Buck, CW sitting on the running board of the car, staring. Bonnie standing and smoking. Clyde still with Buck. All is quiet. Exterior, woods, day. From the edge of the woods, a man in a white shirt emerges from behind a tree. The camera swings abruptly to get him. He calls out to the gang.
Surrender.
It is a total surprise. Bonnie, Clyde, and CW all grab their guns and fire several shots. They are not firing the big guns now, but the pistols. The man lingers there for a moment. He looks strange, white, luminous, like an apparition, and then he vanishes into the woods. Silence, long enough to make you think it was perhaps an illusion. Then there is a volley of gunfire, a noise so large to be almost as an impossible sound, coming from the woods, all around, everywhere.
A ring of little light puffs of smoky birch from the woods. From every tree a puff of smoke. The camera pans in a circle. Behind every tree is a man with a gun. There are at least 150 people out there. Peace officers, farmers with hunting rifles, kids with squirrel guns. Everyone who wanted to come along and catch Bonnie and Clyde. Their number is so large because this time they want no possibility of the game making it seem by them supernatural escapes. From this point on, the sound of guns is unnaturally muffled on the soundtrack. You hardly hear them at all. It's like a dream. Without a word, all of the gang, including the half-dead Buck, making his final effort, scramble for the nearest car. They run throughout this battle, crouched like animals. Their only thought to get away, to escape. To fight it out would be ludicrous. From the moment the barrows start in motion, there is shooting again from the edge of the woods. We see them scrambling toward the car in an extreme long shot surrounded by the ring of smoke. We cut to the interior of the car, all of them inside. Clyde is at the wheel.
Exterior car. Medium, long shot of the car moving. The soundtrack goes to complete silence. We see the car looking for an avenue of escape. It veers towards a tree. A man jumps out. A man steps out from behind the tree and fires. The car jerks and veers toward another tree. Again, a man steps out and fires, and so on. The car performs its eccentric dance, all in utter silence. No sound of the motor, nothing. The film should have the feeling of slow motion as the car swerves and loops along the edge of the woods. Not once do any of the barrows fire back. Another man steps out and aims.
A close-up of Clyde at the wheel, shotgun in the arm. He grabs his arm in pain, loses control of the wheel as we cut to the exterior of the car. Out of control. It smashes into a tree stump. Picture stops, freezes for 3 beats. We hold the image of the moment of crash. Pieces of metal crumpling and flying into the air, suspended there by the stop fin. We cut to the interior of the car.
Sound partly up again, but never at its realistic volume. From inside the smashed car, we peer out the window across the field and see the other car. The thought strikes the audience at the same time it strikes the gang. They must be to that car. Medium shot of the second car, sitting in the field, shining in the sun. The lawmen also realize what must be done. Cut off this escape. Though Bonnie, Clyde, and the others are heading toward it, they suddenly train all their fire on the car rather than the gang. The car fills the frame of the screen. Bullets begin to hit it. It starts to quiver under the impact. For the minute, we see the car die in front of our eyes. We see the beautiful machine fall into pieces, windows smashed, tires torn apart, bodies riddled. The death of the car is as painful to watch as the willful death of a human being. The execution is paced deliberately to show the ritualistic tempo of the destruction.
The exterior of the woods. We pull back way back, slightly above everything to reveal the entire field. Bonnie, Clyde, and CW are scrambling toward the edge of the woods. In the center, Buck and Blanche have taken cover behind a fallen log. Police begin to emerge from the woods. Camera zooms rapidly in with them toward Buck. Blanche is screaming.
Don't kill him! Don't kill him! He's dying!
Buck is making a last feeble attempt. The zoom continues past Buck until it comes tight on his hand. A lawman's footsteps on his hand. Buck falls over. He dies. Blanche screams.
Don't die, Daddy. Don't die.
She goes berserk. 5 men and hardly a teenager grab her and hold her as she writhes and cries. She's still wearing the sunglasses. We cut to the exterior of the woods and the stream of Bonnie Clyde. They've reached the edge of the woods. They get in the pines, come finally to a deep stream. You jump in and start to cross, running awkwardly in chest-deep water. They're halfway across when the police appear on the bank and behind them shooting. We close up on Bonnie. She's struggling through the water. Bullet hits her in the shoulder. We must see this bullet clearly. We must see it go in her flesh so that we can feel it.
Tight close-up of Bonnie's face as she screams. It is the first time she has been hurt, and the scream is pure animal pain. She cries out. Exterior, stream, and cornfield. Day. Clyde, who has almost reached the other side, comes back and gets her. He drags her out of the water and into a cornfield that starts growing on the opposite bank. CW helping. He half carries, half runs with her into the cornfield. As the field gets deeper and thicker, they stop for a second.
Saw a farm up ahead. We gotta get a car.
He starts to give over the wounded Bonnie to CW. Baby, no. But Clyde has not heard this last. Working on pure adrenaline now, he struggles onward. Camera tilts up slightly so we can see Clyde as he essays his way toward a farmhouse with a car in the distance. After a few moments, he disappears, and we can hear only the cracking of stalks as that sound, too, diminishes. Full shot cornfield day silence. Close. CW and Bonnie, obviously sometime later, they both lie prostrate in the field listening. CW licks his lips.
Maybe.
They wait for another long moment, picking up only the tiniest sounds. Oh no.
What?
The most likely. I can't die without Clyde. I just can't.
CW looks at her as if she's gone crazy. After another moment, the corn begins to tremble. We hear the off-screen sound of an approaching car, with CW and the day tentatively lifting his head up to clear the corn stalks. With him, we see the car looming larger, bearing down on us, splitting the corn stalks. The car finally comes to a stop a few feet in front of CW. Bonnie's on her feet. Clyde tumbles out of the car practically before it stops, sweeping Bonnie into him. For a moment, both are in their knees a few feet from the running board of the car, simply holding on to each other and not moving. Come on, come on, come on! The abrupt cut to the interior of the car about a half hour later. They've gotten away, but are still escaping. CW is driving. He's bare-chested. Clyde is beside him in front, his arm bleeding. He falls in and out of consciousness. Bonnie's stretched out in the back. Her shoulder's been bandaged with CW's shirt. She's unconscious. The
Interior
interior.
car.
Clyde comes half awake, looks over at CW. Head out, CW. I'm going home. My daddy's fine.
Exterior road with campsite the same evening. CW is driving down the road, hell for leather. Nearing a campsite where there are about 6 Okie cars and a pickup trucks all loaded down, with a number of poor families seated around the campfire cooking. CW jams on the brakes. He gets out, looking totally exhausted. Reaction shot, the faces of the Okies looking at this sudden presence in their midst. Back to CW.
Y'all spare me a little water?
Exterior campsite, full shot. One man, the leader of the group, dips a cup of water and approaches CW suspiciously. He comes close enough to make CW reach out for the water, but withholds it from him.
Who's you, boy? Name's Moss.
This seems to be enough for the man, who gives him the water. As CW gulps it down, the man begins to circle the car, peering into it suspiciously. Suddenly, he starts and his eyes wide open.
It's Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow.
He stands there, struck dumb, staring. Those of the others who have heard him begin to come over. Without a word, they move quietly to the car and stare in. Interior car. Bonnie is out in the back seat. Clyde is semi-conscious in the front seat. He looks up through half-closed eyes. Exterior car. We see a woman pour a bowl of soup at the campfire and bring it to CW. He accepts it. A man rolls a cigarette and lights it. Then, very gingerly, as if afraid to touch him, he reaches through the window and places it in Clyde's lips. It hangs there. Clyde, unable to drag on it or remove it. Children peer through the back window. CW finishes his cup of soup. He hands it and the cup of water back to the woman in the crowd. Quietly moving together, the Okies step back. CW walks up to the driver's seat, gets in and shuts the door. He starts up the car. The people push a bit closer for a last look. Clyde, unable to do more, nods his head in barely perceptive gesture by way of saying thank you to the other people. The cigarette is still dangling from his lips. The car moves off. A young boy pulls on his father's shirt. Who was that, Paul?
Was it, Paul? That was Bonnie and Clyde, bank robbers.
A woman nearby smiles sweetly.
We dissolve to the exterior of the Moss farm, middle of the night. The car pulls up outside the slightly ramshackle farm of the Malcolm Moss, CW's father, in Arcadia, Louisiana. It sits for a moment in the dark. Then CW honks the horn. A few seconds pass. Porch light comes on. Old man Moss comes out in his pajamas and peers into the darkness. He is a fat man with gray hair. Who's there? Daddy? Who's there? Who's that? It's CW's Clarence. Clarence! She runs down the steps, down the path to the sun. They greet each other, hugging for a second, looking at each other. God, it's good to see you, boy. He holds CW at arm's length to study him, and suddenly he scowls at something he sees by the light of the porch. What's that on your chest? Huh? Tattoo. I'm in trouble. I'll tell you about it later. My friends are hurt. Help me get them in. Malcolm goes to the car and looks inside for a moment. He walks back to CW. Jesus! What happened to them? You in trouble, son? Yeah, that's Clyde Barrow, Bonnie Parker. Shot, Pa. Help me get him inside. We gotta help him. They go to the car and drag the unconscious Bonnie out and begin carrying her up to the house. Why'd you get yourself marked up? Tattoo? What in the hell made you do a damn fool thing like that? They reach the house. Mom, Pa, open the door.
Interior Sheriff's Office in Dexter, Day. Although the scene begins with a full screen close-up of a newspaper clipping with a photo, it is just a blurry gray, crowded scene of Blanche's capture. Really impossible to make anybody out of the crowd. Camera stays on photo as we hear voice over of two men talking, a sheriff and his deputy.
I was in the bunch that took her. You see here? Can you make me out? Here I am. See here, right behind you, point there. Sure enough, Billy. Set your head there.
Camera pulls away. Billy, a young deputy, cold, intense, humorless, and square, carefully folds up the clipping and puts it in his wallet.
Still can't figure out how we let them other two get away. It seems that nobody can get them somehow. Yeah, well, maybe this boy would be the one to do it. This Hammer guy. Well, if he can do it, Sheriff, I mean, nobody but the whole U.S. Army can do it. You hear he quits the Rangers on account of Texas got the women governor. Said he wouldn't work under no women. Yeah, that's something all right. Say, how many he shot anyway in his day? 65, say. Son of a sea cook.
The door opens. We see full shot, then fast close up. Frank Hammer. It should be a complete shock to the audience. This is the man kidnapped by the gang earlier and partially destroyed by Bonnie. Hamer is dressed in his ranger outfit and hat, and again he has that quality of sinister frenzy beneath his calm manner. His attitude toward these lawmen is sheer condescension, or whatever, friendly only out of convention, really superior and contemptuous of lesser workers in his field.
Excuse me. Am I in the right place? Is this Sheriff Smoot?
Pete and Billy jump up to the chairs and walk over to Hamer, hands extended. They're quite impressed by meeting in the flesh.
Frank Hammer. I'm sure pleased to meet you. Hammer.
Exterior moss formed. Close shot newspaper day. A coil of rope snaps into and through the paper, splitting it, revealing CW's startled face. Clyde strides towards angrily, snapping the rope. Bonnie and Malcolm are seated along with CW. Though Bonnie has her arm supported by a sling, and Clyde has his shoulder bandaged, and is evident by Clyde's heady indignation and Bonnie's attentiveness that both are well on their way to recovery.
Fled? What do you mean fled? How in the name of God could leave my brother to die when he was already dead when I left him? He was shot too many pieces to pick off the ground. Fled? What they know? The papers of the police.
Suddenly he moves upon Malcolm with enormous intent, as if pounding to point home to one relative stranger among them. He will justify it all. Malcolm momentarily flinches, then listens with intense deference.
Why, while y'all lying around here near dead, they had us holding up the Grand Prairie National Bank. They hung that one on just for luck, I guess.
Clyde shakes his head, still thinking this over. Abruptly to Bonnie, with deadly seriousness.
Tell you what, as soon as we get well, we gonna take that bank.
He breaks into a wicked grin, but then reels, catching himself on the porch railing. He's obviously dizzy from exertion and anger. Bonnie starts, then sees Clyde is in control.
Woo, boy, they don't know nothing, do they?
You did all you could, hun. Nobody could have done more. CW has been studying hard on the torn paper. Background suddenly.
Hey, how come I'm always called the unidentified suspect?
Root shot, porch. CW has trouble with his last phrase. Bonnie laughs. This picks up Clyde's spirits once more.
You just think you're a lucky star, that's all you are. So long as they don't have your last name, you're home safe. Mr. Barrow's looking out for your interests, boy. Well, hey, Pa, how you like having a couple of big deals staying with you? Ain't nothing something for me. Well, now, you've been real nice to us, and tell you what, let's pay you $40 for your hospitality. What do you say? No. I don't want your money. I'm just pleased to have your company and in front of my boys. Hey, Pa, let's have some supper. I'm hungry. Yeah, okay, Clarence. You're welcome here now. You know that.
Interior Moss house. They go into the house. Camera goes with them. As soon as they are out of earshot from Bonnie and Clyde, Malcolm turns on CW, displaying an entirely different demeanor from the one he presented outside.
You look like trash, boy. Worked up like that. Cheap trash. Bonnie says it looks good. Bonnie, what she know? She just cheap trash herself. Look what they done to you. You don't even name the paper. There's pictures on your skin by Bonnie and Clyde. Why, they couple kids. Daddy, I'm just glad your mind allowed to see that thing.
CW peeks at it, peering down at his chest, trying to bring the bluebirds into focus, puzzled.
I don't see what's so bad about it.
Interior hospital. Shot of the room. Seated in a soft chair, looking directly at us, is Blanche Sparrow. Her eyes are completely covered with a white bandage. She wears a hospital gown. The room is white and bright. Medium shot. Hammer in the doorway. The nurse leaves. He reaches in his pocket and pulls out a white handkerchief. He puts it over his mouth to disguise his voice, afraid she will remember it from the kidnap. Quietly, almost on tiptoes, Hammer walks over to Blanche. He gets inches away from her face. She still doesn't know why he is there.
Blanche, girl.
She starts to her feet, then adjusts to his presence. She is a bit panicked. Blanche is now a defeated human being. Her voice and manner bespeak great weariness, sorrow, still, and a touch of her old high-strung hysteria. But most of all, that is gone now, like everything else that was really vital in her life. What? Who is it?
You know your husband's dead.
I know.
You're going to prison.
I know it.
Where's the rest of them?
I don't know.
Where's the rest of them?
I just don't know. I don't know.
How'd you get in with them?
I didn't mean to. I didn't. Buck said we was just going to visit. He wouldn't be doing no robbing and no stealing. And then we went to Joplin, and all of a sudden they started shooting. And we run off. God, I was scared. And then it was run all the time. And I wanted to go. I begged to go. But Clyde and Bonnie and CW,
CW here.
CW Miles.
We fade out, fade out, fade out, and fade into the exterior of the car on the Moss farm, a dirt path near the barn. It's pouring rain, middle of the afternoon. Bonnie and Clyde are inside the car sitting. They have lived so much in cars that they tend to spend much of their time in it rather than in a room. There they are themselves. Bonnie's in the back seat, legs wrapped in a plaid blanket, writing poetry. She looks like Elizabeth Barrett Browning, with one essential difference. Her arm is in a sling and she is wearing bandages on the shoulder. Sorry. Clyde is in the front seat reading a newspaper. He is also partially bandaged. On the dashboard is a box of ginger snaps, which he eats while he reads. They look domestic. Want a ginger snap, Bonnie?
No. But thanks anyway, Clyde. It's real nice here. Just the two of us like that, like this.
Uh-huh. Look here, remember this? He holds up the paper. There's one of the photos from the motel. The one showing Bonnie smoking. She looks up at it with mild interest.
Yeah, at the motel.
You sure don't resemble that no more. Close up of Bonnie, she doesn't. She has become totally fragile, the essence of herself. She is writing on a pad. What you writing this time?
I'm writing a poem about us. I'm writing our story.
Oh, you are? Let's hear it. If it's good, I'll mail it into the law and I'll be printed in all the papers again.
Just let me finish this line.
She does so. Clyde munches a cookie.
Okay, here it is.
And close up of Bonnie. She reads intensely. At the beginning of this montage, the camera remains on her face. Behind her, we see the rain on the window.
The story of Bonnie and Clyde. You've heard the story of Jesse James, of how he lived and died. If you're still in need of something to read, here's the story of Bonnie and Clyde. Now, Bonnie and Clyde are the Barrow Gang. I'm sure you all have read how they rob and steal, and those who squill are usually found dying or dead. They call them cold-hearted killers. They say they are heartless and mean. But I say this with pride that I once knew Clyde. He was honest and upright and clean. But the laws fooled around and kept hawking him down and locking him into a cell. Till he said to me, I'll never be free, so I'll meet a few of them in hell. The road was dimly lighted. There were no highway signs to guide. But they made up their minds if all roads were blind, they wouldn't give up till the day they died.
We cut to the interior of the police station. The manuscript is lying on the police blotter. Hammer picks it up and continues reading it. He reads it in a halting way. The road gets dimmer and dimmer. Sometimes you can hardly see, but it's like man to man and do all you can, for they know they can never be free from heartbreak. Some people have suffered from weariness. Some people have died. But take it all in all. Our troubles are small till we get like Bonnie and Clyde. Close up of a newspaper page. Poem is printed all the way down the length of one column. On the second track, Bonnie's voice picks up the recitation.
If a policeman is killed in Dallas and they have no clue or guide, if they can't find a fiend, they just wipe their slate clean and hang it on Bonnie and Clyde.
The interior of the car, close up of Bonnie in the day. It's sunny, and we see it through the car window. She continues reading, but now she reads it directly from the newspaper.
If they try to act like citizens and rent them a nice little flat, about the third night they're invited to fight by a sub-gun's rat-a-tat-tat. Someday they'll go down together. They'll bury them side by side. To few, it'll be great. To few, it'll be great. To the law, a relief. But it's death for Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie finishes the poem. She has an expectant and somewhat self-satisfied look. Close up of Clyde. Eyes wide, his mouth open. Face shows surprise and delight. He's on the verge of a giant laugh. Damn, that's me. Bonnie's startled and delighted by his response. And that poem, all starting to come out now. His realization that he had made it, that he's the stuff of legend, that he's an important figure. Sub-guns, rat-a-tat-tat, right in the paper. Close up of Bonnie, she's laughing too, with a great feeling of joy. Two-shot Bonnie and Clyde. It's Clyde. Jesse James. You hear about old Jesse, now you gonna hear about old Clyde.
He puffs up with air and explodes like a steam valve. He grabs Bonnie and chuckles delightedly.
Damn, Bonnie, you must have been one hell of a waitress.
Close up, Bonnie laughing, her eyes filled with tears. Clyde's hand wipes them away. Two-shot.
That's Clyde. That's my boy. That's Clyde.
He looks at her with love and delight, hugs her tightly.
Bonnie, the poem of Bonnie and Clyde.
The story.
The story of Bonnie and Clyde. Oh, child, you really did tell me that story.
He pulls her to him, his face inches away from hers, about to kiss her. She is waiting, expecting. Suddenly, he lets out one wild laugh almost into her mouth. He kisses her. She kisses back. They are chuckling and giggling. They grow more ardent. They pull back and laugh again. They begin to make love.
The exterior of the Arcadia Street ice cream parlor in the day. Bright afternoon. Camera across the street from an ice cream parlor. Eva's hand-packed ice cream. Large plate glass window fronts the store, and through it we can see the people inside seated at tables and booths. Prominent in our vision is Malcolm Moss, seated facing camera. He is seated across from another man, but we see him from the back.
Malcolm is obviously doing a lot of talking and then some hard listening, gesticulating and looking perturbed or disturbed. After a bit of this, he rises from the table and begins walking toward the door. The other man rises and turns. We now see that it is Frank Hammer. Malcolm and Hammer come come out onto the sidewalk, squinting in the sunlight. Malcolm mimes some social pleasantries by way of saying goodbye, but Hammer's face shows no emotion of recognition of the gesture. He turns and walks away, walking out of the frame. Malcolm stands where he is, in front of the ice cream parlor. By the expression of it on his face, we can see that he is rather disturbed by what he has heard, and he is still grappling with the problem. Dissolve 2. Bonnie and Clyde. They lie where they lie where they were with one difference. They are now wrapped in the blanket. Clyde's pants are wadded up and tangled with the shoes at the base of the blanket.
Damn.
He ca- he he casts a sidelong glance to Bonnie and wanting some sort of sorry, overt re- overt reaction from her. She just smiling slightly. Clyde's underlying anxiety begins to surface.
Hey, listen, Bonnie. How you feel?
Fine.
I mean, you feel like you're supposed to feel after you've
Just
well, that's good, ain't it? Reason I ask is well, I figure it's a good idea to ask. I mean, how else did I tell if I did it the way?
hey, you done just perfect.
Clyde looks at her for the first time, tremendously relieved. He can see she means it. Now his buoyancy utterly unchained breaks through. I did, didn't I? I mean, I did. I really did. I did. I mean, this was my first time. It was just like rolling off a log. When it comes right down to it, it was easy. I mean, I didn't even have to try.
Lovingly laughing altogether, overwhelmed with himself, Clyde pulls Bonnie into him. He kisses her, wants to make love again, but then pulls back and keeps chattering at 60 miles a minute. He's he's waited 23 years to talk about this, and he's got the perfect audience. Dissolve 2, interior kitchen, Moss Farm, twilight. After dinner, there are 4 empty plates, but only CW and Malcolm in the kitchen. CW is scraping the bottom of a wilted Eva's hand-packed ice cream carton. Malcolm Malcolm studies his son's stop. Malcolm studies his son's quiet intensity in his direction for a moment, then moves very close, whispers, and when he speaks.
Boy, they expect you to go downtown with them tomorrow. Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie and Clyde. Sure, I always go with them.
Malcolm thinks hard about this.
Better go then. Better go. When they get back in the car to come on home, don't get in with them. Why, Daddy? You just listen to your pa for once. Can't you do that? I'm your daddy. I'm your kin, not Clyde. Well, what should I tell them? I can't go back in the car with you.
Malcolm is ready to kill. His son's obtuseness and his fear of Clyde is whipping him into quite a frenzy. A quiet frenzy.
You don't tell them nothing here. I made a deal and got you off with a couple of years. Made a deal with who, Daddy?
Malcolm hauls off whacks CW across the top of his head with the flat of his hand, then momentarily holds his hand over CW's mouth.
Laws, don't get back in that car. Whatever you do, don't let on to them, you hear?
CW suddenly smiles as if he knew something.
Whew. You think them laws are gonna catch Bonnie and Clyde in town?
CW returns to the ice cream cart and Malcolm lets him, figuring he better find out what he can.
What do you think, Clarence? They ain't gonna catch him, no matter whether I let on or not. Maybe. You just be off in the streets in that town where you go get in the car. Nobody catches Clyde. Clyde's got sense, don't you know that, Daddy? Nobody catches Clyde.
Malcolm knows better, but for just a moment he stares at his son, fearing that maybe CW, for all his limitations, has a sense about Clyde's sense. CW has finished with a carton and crumples it, licking the last remnants of cream off his fingers. Interior bedroom, Moss Farm, night. Bonnie and Clyde's bedroom, the middle of the night. Both are wide awake, lying on opposite sides of the double bed. Both are staring into the night, disquiet.
Bonnie, will you marry me?
There is a silent gasp from Bonnie, a barely perceptible stiffening. Then she talks in a voice falsely formal, still staring up at the ceiling. How could I do that, Clyde? You know it's impossible. We'd have to go to a justice of the peace, and the justice of the peace is a lawman. We couldn't even take out a license.
Hey now, you sound like you've been giving it some thought on your own.
Oh no, I never give it a thought. I haven't thought about it at least 10 times a day. I haven't thought about it every minute of my life since I met you.
She flings herself violently across the bed and buries herself in Clyde's chest. Her knees drawn up, her head tucked down into him, her body shaking with sobs. Bonnie, are you crying, honey? Bonnie nods yes and slowly gets control over her tears.
Clyde, why do you want to marry me?
I'm gonna make an honest woman out of you. Bonnie's silent.
Clyde, what would you do? What would you do? Would you do it if some miracle happened and we could walk out tomorrow morning and start all over again, clean, with no record, with nobody after us?
Clyde thinks about it for a minute. Well, I guess I'd do it all different. First off, I wouldn't live in the same state where we pull our jobs. We live in one state, stay clean there. When we want to take a bank, we'd go to another state. And suddenly he realizes that he has said the worst thing he could have, that it was not the answer Bonnie wanted to hear. He looks down at her, his voice anxious. Bonnie? She's silent. Hey, Bonnie. And she doesn't answer. With the exterior of the roadside early morning, we see Malcolm jacking up the back wheel of his pickup truck, which is parked on the side of the road in a wooded area. Street in Arcadia, where cars park, is Bonnie and Clyde walking toward the car, carrying big bags of groceries and supplies put inside them. What happened to CW?
He stopped off at that hardware store to get light bulbs for his daddy.
Clyde opens the door of the driver's seat and sits down. Interior of the car, Arcadia Street in the day. Boy, my feet are sweating. Takes off his shoes.
You planning to drive with your shoes off?
Sure, why not? He reaches in his shirt pocket and takes out his sunglasses. As he goes to put them on, one of the lenses falls out. Damn. Puts them on.
You gonna wear them?
Sure, drive one eye shut. Bonnie gets in the car, rummages around in one of the bags, and pulls out something wrapped in tissue paper. She unwraps it and puts it up on the dashboard, displaying it. It is a little porcelain shepherdess holding a crook in her hand, worth about 30 cents.
Oh, isn't that the prettiest thing, hon? Just look here. You can see every little fingernail on her hands.
She shows him. It's a pretty thing, honey. And Clyde turned on the radio. And hillbilly music. Little church in the valley. He beats time on the steering wheel, getting a little impatient. Bonnie puts her shepherdess excuse me, away and begins looking into the grocery sack.
We got any peaches? I sure could go for a peach right now.
She burrows in the bag, comes out with a peach, takes a big bite. The juice drips down the side of her mouth. She looks beautiful. Why don't we do it tomorrow?
Do what?
Tomorrow's Sunday, ain't it? We could drive all night and be on that golf course tomorrow morning.
You sure you feel up to it?
Yeah, why not? Where's that boy? He gone too long?
He'll be here. You take a bite, hon.
It's taking too long. What if something happened?
Nothing happened.
Let's go take a look, see you're keeping it. Not delighted at all.
Not too delighted with the chore, Bonnie goes off. We remain with Clyde, getting anxious. The music plays on. Bonnie comes back hurriedly, now anxious herself. He ain't there. Clyde jumps into action, slams his door.
Come on, let's go.
Bonnie gets in. They drive off.
The interior of the store, close up a CW of the day. Hiding inside a store, peering out through a curtained window at them driving away. His expression is disturbed, his face half in shadow.
Exterior road day. Bonnie and Clyde's car coming down the road. Camera sees from Clyde's point of view. Malcolm standing in the road, waving him down. The pickup truck, its back jacked up, is parked beside him on the shoulder of the road. Interior car day. What's wrong?
I don't know. Exterior of the road. Clyde reaches the spot. Pulls off the road, stops the car. He gets out. Talks to the old man. Bonnie stays in the car. Suddenly, a truck loaded with chickens comes riding down the road from the opposite direction. Hammer sees it from a long way away and realizes that he cannot afford to let anything pass between him and his quarry. He decides the time is now. He leaps up from the trench and yells at Clyde, "Barrow!" And the old man dives under his truck to hide the shooting stars. We see the chicken truck, two men in the front seat. They see ahead of them in an incredible shooting match and terror. They jam on the brakes and leap out of the truck. They run as fast as they can into the meadow, away from the trouble. The gunfight takes just seconds, during which Law fires 8-7 shots at Bonnie and Clyde, giving them absolutely no chance. The sound is rapid, deafening. At no point in the gunfight do we see Bonnie and Clyde in motion. We see, instead, two still photographs cut into the sequence. One of Clyde half out of the car, taking careful dead aim with his gun, just as he did in the teaching scene. One of Bonnie in terror, a pack of cigarettes in her hand, clutched tight, looking as fragile and beautiful as she can be.
The noise stops at once. Utter silence. It has become a massacre. Bonnie and Clyde never had a chance to return to gunfire. We see the car a complete shambles. We never see Bonnie and Clyde dead, though. For a moment, we discerned their bodies slumped in the car. The camera pulls above the car until it is on a level with opposite side of the road. Then, suddenly, the 6 lawmen stand up in the trench. On the faces of the 5 deputies, horror and shock at what they have just done. Hammer, however, registers no emotion. His face is a blank. He lights a cigarette. Slowly, slowly, the 5 men begin to edge closer to the car to see the result. Music, the wild country breakdown music, begins on the soundtrack.
Before
Before
they
they reach
reach the car, camera swings away from them, past them, and zooms out and above into the meadow where the 2 truck drivers are standing, tiny, distant figures. The truck drivers begin to walk toward the camera, coming back to the road to see what happened. They get closer and closer to the camera until they have reached a middle distance, and as they continue to walk at us, it is ska, 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 ska. The end. We cut the play.
Oh, was I supposed to say the end?
Well, I was hoping you would.
Ska, 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 ska. Ska, 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 ska. Ska, 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 ska. Ska, ska. Ska, 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 ska. Tingle Grain.